Hey guys, this is Anita. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is about the book recommendations. It's been long since I recommended any book. I used to do tag videos. I did a bunch of them last year and I used to recommend books through them. But I did not do any tag videos this year until mid-year book freak out last month. While filming that video, while talking about one book, I got the inspiration to do this video because I wanted to recommend that book to everyone. I did not even film a video for that book. I have 7 standalones to talk about, all genres, mostly fantasy, but it also have one sci-fi, one historical fiction, one thriller. Actually, though some of these books listed as fantasy, the fantasy part of in those books is very less. Most of them read like historical fiction. So I got 2 books I read back in 2021 and 3 books from last year 2022 and 2 books from this year. This first book doesn't surprise anyone because I talked about this a lot. I did not do a separate video for this because I read this before I started my channel, but I recommended this to many people and they all liked it. That is Guns of the Dawn by Adrian Tchaikovsky. If anyone asks me to recommend a book to them, this is the first book I think of, no matter what their taste is. I love this book. We follow this noble woman Emily. Actually, first 150-200 pages of this book reads like a Jane Austen novel or Downton Abbey, and then it changes into a military fantasy book. When war breaks out between 2 neighboring kingdoms, every man in Lescan is the kingdom where Emily lives. Every man in this kingdom gets drafted, and later one woman from each family gets drafted. That's when Emily goes to war. We follow her getting trained and growing in ranks in the military. Fantasy plays very less role in this book. It is very soft magic system. We see that only in couple of scenes. I fell in love with this book mostly because of the themes explored. It talks about propaganda and the cruelty of or the trauma war causes. I respect Tchaikovsky for showing that side of war. It also has fantastic cast of secondary characters. They're fun to follow, and it has one of the best love triangles I have ever read. It does not feel forced. That dilemma actually felt genuine. Even if you're not into military stuff, give it a try. I am sure you'll find something to appreciate. Next book is a thriller. I haven't talked about it much. I have been thinking about this book a lot, so I decided to include in this video. It's Miracle Creek by Angie Kim. It's about a group of people who goes to this special treatment center, hyperbaric chamber, which treats different ailments from autism to infertility. One day this chamber explodes and 2 people die, and it wasn't an accident. So the showdown unfolds. It could be mother of an autism kid or the owners of this chamber who wants insurance money, or the protesters who are against this treatment. Though it's listed as thriller, it reads more like drama. We don't know who did it till the end, but the focus was more on the drama between these people who were involved rather than the suspense of it. Also, author was a lawyer, so the courtroom drama was done very well. It felt very real. It also delves into the parents of the kids with autism. Actually, in this case, father was out of the picture. He does not want the responsibility. Mother is the one who actually has to take him to treatments and sit with the kid and do all the work, and she cannot show a single moment of irritation. If she does, people call her a bad mother. It was raw, visceral and heartbreaking. If you are into emotional books, I highly recommend it. It was very well written. Next book I want to talk about is Folding Knife by K.J. Parker. I read 3 books by him so far and all 3 of them are 5 stars. I read 2 books last year, Folding Knife and The Company. I talked about The Company in the best books I read last year list, so I want to talk about The Folding Knife in this list. We follow Basso, who is the head of the bank and also the first citizen. First citizen is like prime minister of a country. So this book talks a lot about economics. I'm not into economics, I don't even understand them, but I understood them in this book. It talks about how to run a bank, how to run a country, how to make profit even in the middle of a disaster. I can see that it may not work for everyone. It doesn't have any magic. It reads more like historical fiction, but I liked Basso. It was fascinating to see how his brain works. He is very intelligent and charming character. He is a capitalist. He does anything to get profit. I usually don't like characters like this, but I give entire credit to Parker. He made me look past the ethical part of it and made me focus on the thought process of the character. That takes skill. His character work is just fantastic, and I loved humor in his writing. Humor is very subjective, so I'm glad it worked for me. If you like good character work, give it a try. It's a good break between epic fantasy books. The next book I want to talk about is Kindred by Octavia Butler. I actually talked about in the best books I read last year list, but I cannot stop singing praises about this book. What Butler did in just 250 pages is just brilliant. The main character, 26-year-old African woman Dana, she goes back in time to early 1800 when slavery was legal. We see the slavery through her eyes in modern woman perspective. This book was published in 1979, but it is timeless actually. Nothing changes even if it publishes now, because the traveling back in time, that 1800s past, what happened, that never changes. And if we see now with our perspective, it stays the same, because Butler actually focused on the human nature during that time. We see how one get used to the slavery or accept slavery, or how fear make us do things though we don't want to, or how this kind of system changes even kids, how they become cruel. One of my favorite dialogues in this book is this character's husband comments that lifestyle is not that bad in this plantation, and then our main character says that they are sleeping on the floor, they did not have health care or education, they barely had any rights. You don't have to be cruel to them for it to be wrong. It's a fantastic window to those times. I highly recommend this book. And the next book I want to talk about is Augustus by John Williams. This is a historical fiction which tells the story of Augustus after the assassination of Caesar. Entire book is written in the form of letters. I did not know anything about Roman history before reading this book. This book was my entry. Though I did not know any of these characters, I felt invested. John Williams' writing was brilliant. He gave distinct voices to each character through these letters. If you ever cared about what happened in Rome after the assassination of Caesar, give it a try. It's less than 300 pages and audiobook is so good. Even you don't care about Roman history, just read it for John Williams' writing. It's a fantastic read. This next book is what made me do this video. I want more people to read this book. That is The Palace of Illusions by Chitravanachchi Divakarani. This is a retelling of Mahabharata in Draupadi's POV. Mahabharata is Indian epic where main conflict is between Pandavas and Kauravas. There is a huge cast of characters. Krishna, who is a god to Hindus, is a cousin to Pandavas, so he plays a major role in the story. Actually, there are so many background stories for most of these characters, stories about the gifts they received from gods or the curses they received. So it's huge, but Chitravanachchi Divakarani managed to tell the entire essence of it in just 350 pages. We don't see the entire story. We see in Draupadi's POV from her birth, but she managed to give the enough information about the epic to understand this book. She made some changes, but I did not mind that. She approached them with respect, and her writing is just beautiful. If you don't know anything about Mahabharata, this actually gives you a good introduction about the characters and the conflict. And the next book on my list is The Hammer by K.J. Parker. Yes, I'm repeating the author, but I just finished this book and I loved it. I have to include this book in this list. I haven't even filmed the review for this yet. It's one of the toughest books to sell. I don't even know where to start. It's set in a small colony. It's an island actually, where this noble family called Metarchs got exiled 70 years back. So they are living on this island from past 70 years. This family, this noble family, live on the mountain top. There is also a small town on the seashore where common people live. Even these people were actually criminals or exiles from their home country. These people actually have to pay tax to the home country. They can't even trade with anyone. They can't grow financially, so they cannot go back to home. They don't exactly have freedom. And this noble family doesn't interact with these town people. If they want anything, they just steal from these town people tolerate this noble family because they are the only people who have weapons if they want to fight against savages who are the original residents of this island. So there are three different groups who doesn't get along with anyone. Parker explores themes of independence, justice, and peace through these characters. We mainly follow one character, the youngest son of this noble family. Again, what made me fall in love with this book is Parker's character work. His characters are not actually good characters, they are morally grey characters. I like how self-aware Parker characters are. He doesn't sell them as good characters to us at all. He just show us their actions and leave to us to form our own conclusions and have our own judgments. I love that. I respect Parker for that. I am not sure if I'm doing a good job of it. I hope I'll do a better job in my separate review of this book. Read it if you want to read something with good character study and themes like what people can do for their independence, or can justice prevail if we want peace. That's all the books I want to talk about in this video. If you know any good standalone, please let me know in comments. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Bye bye.